Hello, love. I'm so excited to be back with you. I'm excited about today's episode because I love thinking about the word hard and what I make it mean and how this word hard has changed for me. But before we get into that, I want to welcome our lovely co host, Coach Jenn Taylor. And here we are, we're midway through July. I mean, can you even believe it? You know, what's so interesting to me is in a couple months, we're going to be talking about pumpkin. The pumpkin spices probably will come out, I would think, in August for sure, right? And then the holidays, and then, oh my gosh, we're going to be on to 2025. I always think it's a good time to check in. We're midway through July, midway through the year. And where are you? Are you on track to hit the goals that you set for yourself at the beginning of the year? Do you feel good about what you're doing right now? I like to check in with myself on many different fronts about where am I? How am I doing? And not because I believe in like ultra big changes, but where can I make tweaks? What do I want to do just a little bit different? And today, Jenn and I want to get into this word hard. And why is because I feel pretty passionate about hard and what we make it mean. I'm going to explain in a moment what I mean by that because we have made this word hard or the hard work. And what I find what happens over time is that it just becomes another reason or excuse to not show up for ourselves or not to do the thing. So many ladies will say to me, weight loss is hard, starting to think about what I'm thinking or to take a pause before I take a bite or to do this work, that this is hard. To show up for myself 30 minutes a week, ooh, so hard, right? I mean, ladies will tell me all the things. What I find is that hard, when it produces the outcome that you want, is the most beautiful hard. And it is work and it is hard, but it's transformation. I have these pictures of butterflies on my desk, and I was just thinking about what a caterpillar goes through to become a butterfly. I mean, it goes down to liquid, ladies. To become this beautiful butterfly. It goes through this whole transformation process, which is what you are doing. You are transforming your life. This is why we call, my membership program Transform. Boss is because I love transformations. It's why I named my company Bee-Fly Coaching for butterflies. Bee-Fly, short for butterfly, because I love the thought of transformation. And with transformation comes hard. And the reason why our brain interprets it as hard is because our brain senses any sort of change as dangerous and as something that it wants to avoid. This hard, the hard that you do in transformation work, is the best hard because it leads you to the results that you have been longing for in your life. So familiar. Jenn, talk about familiar with the ladies. What does that mean? What's the opposite of beautiful transformation hard? What's the opposite of that?
Can be tricky because I think familiar, even if it's hurtful to us long term or in the moment, then I think because it's familiar, because it's known, we know what to expect, we've done it before, it feels safer to go that route than it does to do something different, right? To change. And so we choose that familiar because it's secure in our brain, right? We think we know the outcome. Maybe we still don't, but we think we know the outcome. And so we'll choose that. And that pain, if it causes us pain or causes us whatever, to stay stagnant, even maybe over the change to transform because it's unknown and it feels uncomfortable.
Yeah, I think about familiar, right? When I think about Weight Watchers, I think I went back to Weight Watchers. Ooh, I don't know, 14 to, I don't know. I mean, I had all the pamphlets, ladies. So I think I went back to it so many times. And so I say this because, this familiarity of Weight Watchers and counting points, it felt familiar. Even though I never lost weight long term on it, it just felt so familiar to me. I kept having hope in it, even though I really didn't want to count points. I didn't like the idea that if I had a slab of butter, forget about it. It was so many points or, a hamburger bun, right? And so I didn't want to live that way, but my brain, because it was so familiar to me, even though that was hard, Weight Watchers, all the diet plans are hard. Even though that was hard, it was familiar. My brain, we had done it, right? We had done it a few times. I had gone to the meetings, which ladies, and for sure back then was pretty introverted. So the fact that I drug myself to a meeting with all these people I didn't know and put myself on a scale in front of another human to then look and write down the little number and look at me like, next week, as I've gained weight again or stayed the same, or, ooh, point two, Shannon, you're doing good. When I expected it to be four, right? I mean, oh my gosh, ladies. But it was so familiar to me. I had done it so many times, like so many times. And then, of course, they went to the whole online thing. And I remember trying online for a while because I didn't have to go to the meetings, but it was just the same thing in a different package. And so I think about this because, we all have that hard that we just keep going back to. It doesn't work. It's not, Weight Watchers was very temporary for me and never worked for me long term. And so I want to say this because I think this is important. There is some diet or exercise plan that you think is the best one. Maybe it's the weight loss drugs. Maybe it's keto. Maybe it's Atkins. Maybe it's a nutritionist. Maybe it's something that you have done that you think that is it. If I just do this, I'm going to have success. Now, here's the kicker. If you did not keep the weight off, it was not successful. So when your brain goes back to the past and was like, oh, I was just so successful on Weight Watchers because I lost 50 pounds and oh, I was so successful. But then I gained it back. That is not success. The losing of the weight is just one part. There are many parts in our journey. There's the actual weight loss. There's the maintenance of the weight loss. There is the process of changing the way you believe and the way that you think, and the process of feeling emotion. All of those pieces are a part of it, but we always just focus on the one piece, the data, which is the losing of the weight. I say this because there are still very, very famous people who I like who are still out there saying that this is the way when the other three parts are missing. The maintenance, the being able to live with whatever solution you've chosen, being able to think differently so you feel differently about your body, so you have different thoughts about the way you look, about, your success, learning how to overcome sabotage, which is all mindset work. There's 4 pieces, my love, to your journey. 4 pieces. And if you're not addressing all 4 pieces, you will stay on the diet roller coaster, no matter. I know this to be true. I don't care if it's weight loss surgery, whatever it is, you have to address all 4 pieces. And so when you keep going back to what you think is easier than incorporating all of the 4 pieces, it's not really easier. It's just a different version of hard, one that leaves you more frustrated because you're not actually achieving the goals and dreams that you want. You're not actually sustaining. You're not keeping the weight off. And you may be able to do it for a while, but what happens when you don't know how to deal with stress? You don't know what to do when you're going through a really hard time in your life and food has always been your coping mechanism and suddenly you don't have it or you don't know what to do. If it's not food, you'll find some other destructive pattern. I know this, right? There's studies on it actually, especially with weight loss surgery where, people lost weight with surgery and then suddenly they're out doing all sorts of things because the emotional part, the mindset part was not there. I think too, a lot of times when we're going to try something new and we think that it's hard, fear comes into play. We have this fear of failure and we have this fear of success. And so, Jen, when you think of the fear of failure or fear of success, what comes to mind for you?
It's the two ends, right? It keeps you on that diet roller coaster right in the middle. For me, it either has kept me frozen or it will lead me to sabotage, right? Usually frozen with when it's fear of failure, I'll just, oh, I'll wait for the right time to start. I'll wait until this. And fear of success is I start to have success, and then all the worry, the fear comes in about, well, if I lose that weight, then who will I be? Or if I change this. And so sabotage starts sneaking on in. And that is just, those to me are my, when I think, when you said that, I'm like, those are the bookends that keep you in this middle roller coaster. And so it's just moving past those, right? Like to get off that diet roller coaster.
Yeah, I love how you said bookends. I mean, that really resonates with me, right? And it does keep you in this constant, right? I want to break free. I think of it almost as these two walls of a prison that I was in, and I want to get out of it. I don't want to be in either place. I just want out of that. I want to be able to have change in my life. And I know for sure our brain thinks that change is hard. And so we think change is hard. And especially when we're creating new habits, our brain is like, whoa, whoa, because it takes some time and repetition to create new habits. And so in that process, our brain is like, can we just go back to what's familiar? And this is what I know. Living in a body that you don't love, that carries extra weight on it, that feels heavy, heavy on your joints, heavy on your bones, where you can't enjoy your life like you want to, my love, that is hard. When you can't tie your shoelaces, or you can't wear the clothes that you want, or you are turning down events, you're not out there dating because you don't feel like you're good enough for someone. You are accepting things in your life that are less than because you don't feel good enough. Ladies, that is hard. To me, that's the hardest thing in this life. All that food noise and the obsessing and the constant thinking about food and when you're going to eat and when's your next fix. That is hard. You get to decide what hard you want to choose. And it's one decision, it's one small decision at a time. I don't believe in like big lifestyle, let me rearrange my whole life. I don't believe in that because I have a life. I really liked most of it. I didn't like the way that I felt about myself when it came to my worth. And I didn't like the way I felt about my body. And I didn't like my relationship with food. But many other parts of my life, I loved. I didn't want to change my life. I don't want you to change your life. I want you to start with one simple, small step where you start to change a habit, where you start to change something. When your brain is like, oh, this is too hard, you have the tools and the resources and the support so that you can take the next step forward. That is what, to me, is the best kind of hard. It's the transformational piece of it. You know, I always do think about butterflies because I do love butterflies. I'm a little obsessed with them. And I like seeing real butterflies too, and caterpillars, and the transformation that a caterpillar goes through to become a butterfly. I mean, it's unbelievable. And I think as humans, our lives are full of transformations. I think about me when I was 18 versus me when I was 30 versus me when I was 40 versus me when I was 50, and all the different ages in between, and the constant transformations that I have done in my life, small ones, a little more complicated ones that took years. And I think for the rest of my life, I will just continually be leaning in to the hard that leads to transformation. Because I leaned into the hard that caused me enormous pain. And that hard, I want to say goodbye to. I want to say, I've had enough of that hard. I've had enough of that hard where I didn't feel like I was worth anything, that I didn't like my body, that I didn't feel attractive or lovable. I don't want that hard anymore. I want the hard that leads to transformation of my mind and my body. So, Jen, what do you think?
Shannon. So you make me want to like slap my desk. So good. Because it is, right? Either way, we have a heart. We think that it needs to be easier. It needs to, just flow and flow. It's not always going to do that. And as we step into this hard, whichever hard we choose, hopefully you choose transformation because I know what's on the other side of that. And as you lean into it, just releasing this expectation of perfectional along the way. Allow yourself to be imperfect, to have those failures, because I think that's some of the hard that we're avoiding, right? Is the failure or the unknown, and lean into it. Let them be there. They're going to be there. And who knows what you'll get from them. Sometimes they have been some of my best life lessons. allowing yourself to feel the hard and then celebrating when it's on that, right? Like breaking those walls, like Shannon said, those bookends, like allowing the success to be there, allowing the failure to be there, because throughout our whole lives, they're both going to exist, right?
Yeah. It's good, Jen. I'll bang my table. I love it. No, so good. Ladies, this is it. I hope today you walk away from this episode just feeling inspired and that you choose the path of hard that leads to your transformation over and over and over again. The path of hard that leads to pain, it is right there. It is always pulling on you. It's so easy to go into that path. I mean, it's so easy, instant gratification. Our brains are wired for that. But I just hope that you choose the path that leads to your transformation because you deserve everything in this life that you want, a body that you love, a brain that feels free, and whatever it is that you want in this life, you deserve it. You deserve to feel lovable and worthy. And I just wish that for you on so many different levels. I hope that today you choose the hard that leads to your transformation. Jen, any last words for our beautiful ladies?
No, ladies, just lean into it and go for it because as Shannon said, like you are worthy. Mm.
Yes, let's go, ladies. Jen and I, every 2 weeks, we're right here. All right, my loves. I'll talk to you soon.